Yeah. So we got a very special guest today. Could you do me a favor and introduce yourself?
My name is Amy Stevens Ving.
Thank you for taking time to chop it up with us today. And so I wanted to get started at the beginning. What was your childhood like?
Um, it my parents were my parents were addicted, drug addicts, alcoholics. They fought a lot. I had I have two older brothers and a little brother and sister, and we moved around a lot because my dad worked in the oil and stuff like that back east. And then when I was about 6 or 7, we moved to California. And then after that, everything just kind of went downhill after we moved to California.
Damn.
And my dad, this is where he's from, out in Northern California. And so he just started, running amok. My mom did. They started tweaking and using meth really bad, and the fights got worse. So we went to foster home.
Damn.
Yeah. And then at first we were all together because my oldest brother, he's my half brother. He lived with his mom, but my older brother and then my little brother and sister, I helped take, we took care of each other pretty much. And we ended up getting taken away. At first we were all together in the foster home, but then eventually, we all got separated, and my little brother and sister got adopted out, and then we never got to see them again.
Damn.
Yeah.
Let me take it back a little bit. So how was it as a child having to take on those responsibilities, having to look out for your other siblings? Did that take a toll on you as a child, or did you just not have time to even think about it back then?
Yeah, I didn't. That's just what I did. It's like I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't want to. I think I believe in God, so I think God just made me to be that type of person, and just like a motherly, like a caretaker type person, and I like that's what I was made for, I guess. I don't know. It just came natural for me.
When you got when you guys were sent together in the foster home, did it seem like kind of a relief because you were away from the chaos, so to speak, or were you more scared because you didn't understand what was happening or didn't know what was going to happen?
No, I hated it. I hated the foster home. I honestly I just wanted my mom and dad back. Even though they were all screwed up and everything, I knew my parents loved me.
Yeah.
And I knew that, they weren't bad parents when they were good parents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were good when they were good, but when they were bad, it was real bad,
Yeah.
And these people that they put me with, is we knew they didn't care about us. It was just a paycheck. So,
Did that show?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was in a lot of different foster homes. So I can't say that about all my foster homes because there was a couple that were good, but for the most part, all of them were bad.
How old were you when you got sent to the foster homes?
I was 8.
8 years old. So you're 8 years old, and how does it feel to be transferred from one foster home to another? Do you kind of feel a sense of rejection, or do you numb yourself another way, trying to have a chip on your shoulder?
Yeah, after a while, in a way, it was almost I don't know how to describe how it is. When you go to another foster home, it's oh, the newness is cool, a new relationship kind of, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
the newness because it's they're nice to you at first. So it's you take advantage of that until it wears off.
Damn.
And then they're assholes, you know what I mean? And then you're an asshole back. But after they took my little brother and sister and adopted them out, then I was angry. I was mad.
Yeah, let me get to that point. How did that feel when did you know that was going to happen? Did you know it was in the works, or was it just all of a sudden?
Because they were trying to get all of us to, because they make money like that.
Yeah.
They make money off getting kids adopted, and my older brother we were a little bit older than my little brother and sister, you know, and my older brother was like, no, I'm not doing it. You know, I'm not getting adopted because mom and dad's going to get us back. And we had been in foster home by this time for like 3 years.
Damn.
You know, and so my brother like wholeheartedly believed that. My older brother like really believed that, because of course my mom's still telling us that, you know.
Yeah.
And my dad, he's like in and out of jail, prison and everything, you know, so we didn't see him as much. And so he was like, I'm not going, because they told us we have a choice, you know. And so I'm like, well, I'm not going either, because I'm not leaving my brother. And then so they moved my older brother away into a group home, like with some bullshit excuse. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. That's fine.
I cuss a lot.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, with some like bullshit excuse, you know, like, oh, he has an anger problem, like, you know. So then all of a sudden I come home from school one day and they're like, oh, well, you're moving too. And I was like, what? You know, and they're like, oh yeah, well, you stole something. And I was just like, I didn't steal nothing, you know what I mean? Because I really didn't, you know what I mean? And so I was just like, what are you talking about? They're like, yeah, we know you stole this and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, what the hell? So then like shortly after that, they told me my brother and sister's getting adopted in here in the next couple weeks. And we got one last visit to say goodbye to each other.
Damn.
Yeah.
Who is it that breaks the news to you?
My foster mom, my new foster mom.
Damn.
And she was a good one. This one was a good one. Like, this was a good foster mom. Even though I was like all screwed up by this time, you know, and like I was mad and like I like was mean to her, like I was hella bad, you know, and she tried so hard, you know, to like help me and stuff, but I just wasn't even trying to listen to her.
So with that last visit, could you take us through how that went, that last visit with your siblings?
It was bad. It was hella bad. Because my little brother and sister are twins.
Yeah.
And they were born premature. They were only 2 pounds when they were born.
Damn.
And my little sister, she has her brain wasn't fully developed, so she has a shunt, and it pumps the fluid off her brain into her stomach. So
for the hydrocephalus, right?
Yeah. And so like that was my babies, you know what I mean? Like I took care of them all while growing up, and they didn't want to get adopted either, but because they weren't 10 years old, they didn't have a choice.
Damn.
So they literally like physically had to separate us at the end of the visit. Yeah. It was sad. It was really sad.
So that there's a lot of emotional trauma for such a young child. You know, you're separated from your family a few different times. It sounds like now. So it's you're reliving this trauma over and over.
Yeah.
At what point do you just get like, was it that last time you said where you just became angry at everything, where that's the only way you can cope with it?
Yeah. I was mad. Like I don't even know how to describe how angry I was. And like, I was mad at everybody, but like my parents, you know what I mean? Like, cause it's their fault. Ultimately it was their fault. You know what I mean? But it was like, I wanted to be mad at anybody but them, you know? And my foster mom would tell me like, you know, this is, and she explained it to me like, and I would get mad at her, you know, she'd be like, this is your parents' choices. This is what brought you guys to this, you know, to this and that, you know? And I was just like, after a while, I'm like, man, you're right. You know what I mean? But I didn't want to accept that because that's my parents, you know?
Yeah.
And so like
any kind of criticism, or not even like, even if it's constructive, was an attack on your parents.
Yeah. And that's, you know, unconditional love regardless. That's my parents. So yeah, I just started acting out like just like destroying stuff, lying, just doing just dumb stuff. You know what I mean? Like the dumbest shit ever. Like, that I could come up with. And I lived in like this tiny ass town.
Yeah.
Oh my God. 300 people.
Damn.
Yeah.
So everybody knew who you were.
It was crazy, man. Everybody knew everybody. Like I couldn't do nothing. And I would already be snitched on by the time I got home. Like it was crazy. I was like, oh my God, these people are crazy.
Now, for most of the people that I chopped it up with, we mainly came from cities and stuff like that. How is it going to school in such a small town, and then you have all these anger issues? So there's not a lot of people you can really connect with, right?
None. And like, because the small towns, it's like they all grew up together,
Mm.
like from like kindergarten. So like outsider that comes in, and especially me having like problems, like outbursts, and I was like ADD, so I took meds and stuff
Yeah.
like that. They put me on meds like Ritalin and stuff, and like I would have like these outbursts and stuff, which like I guess I don't know, like attention seeking, I guess
Mm.
the word would be. Um, I would just like lash out at my teachers, and I'd like get sent out of class, and then my foster mom would drive by and see me. I'd be like, oh my God. Like I would already be in trouble before, you know what I mean? Like before
Yeah.
I could even like get out of class, I'd already be in trouble. I'd just be like, damn. I'd try to sneak off campus and smoke. Someone would drive by and see me and call her. Like, I'm
Damn.
gonna get away with shit, like at all.
How was your relationship with the other children at that point? Like, were there any that were kind of similar to you, or were you just completely on your own?
At school, um, I had like one friend, and she was like the bad kid too. The
Yeah.
only other bad kid in the school. Yeah. That's my like she was like my only friend, and that was like a half-ass friend.
Damn.
Yeah.
How long after you how long did it take for you to go from adoption to being incarcerated?
Oh, I was never adopted though.
I mean, not
Only,
adopted. I meant being in foster care. I'm sorry about that.
foster home. I got locked up when I was 14.
14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you said you were first placed in foster care about 8. So it took a few
Mm-hmm.
years of you bouncing around and going through that emotional trauma. And then when you got busted at 14, did you end up in the California Youth Authority?
Yeah.
So at that point, it's a sad, sad situation because you went from foster homes to becoming a ward of the state.
Oh
So
yeah.
now, so now there's like, and what was your original parole consideration date? Like how many years did they give you at board?
My first board hearing, they gave me 7 years.
7 years.
Yeah, I was cat 1.
So you're category 1, 7 years, and you're 14 years old. You get to Ventura. You're one of the younger ones there.
Mm-hmm.
How does that feel for you? Because or actually, let me ask this: have you ever been busted before that?
Nope.
Your first time incarcerated. How does that feel? Is it a scary feeling, or do you just not know what's going on?
Honestly, I think the foster homes kind of helped me with
Yeah,
that little transition. Not little transition, because I fought my case in juvenile hall for 15 months.
yeah,
Yeah, because I was my charges were murder, first degree murder, and conspiracy, robbery, and false imprisonment. And they tried to try me as an adult, so I had to go through my fitness hearing first.
yeah,
And so because I don't have no priors, you know what I mean? And that foster mom I had told you was good. She, they had to call character witnesses and everything. And she was actually one of my character witnesses. And so, that whole 15 months was hard, like
yeah,
probably the hardest time, because I got busted in Shasta County up in Redding,
yeah,
and that was the last foster home I was in. And I like there was no juveniles in there for that, you know what I mean? So I was like heavily watched, like maximum security, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I couldn't go out with the regular kids, I couldn't go to school with the regular kids, and if I went outside I had to have shackles on, you know what I mean? Like I couldn't walk outside like everybody else, you know what I mean? So, and they always had to have 2 staff with me all the time, so it was just like it drug out, it drug on for a long time. And then my trial itself was 3 months long,
yeah,
so it's just like after a while, it's not that I didn't care, it was just that I was a kid, and it was just like, all the legal formalities, and I really believed that I wasn't gonna get convicted of that or committed whatever,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Because I knew that I had a part in it, but I really didn't believe that I was responsible.
You know, it's
And I
crazy.
still don't.
You're not the first person I heard say that. There's another
I
guy,
don't.
yeah, where he, because you're so young, he thought that
Well,
he was gonna get away with the warning, or they're gonna let him go because he didn't think like, oh, they're not gonna really lock me up for that long.
well,
It's crazy.
I had 3 crime partners that were all adults
Oh
that,
shit.
yeah, and that were the actual like uh guilty ones. I guess the word is, I'm not like being a snitch or nothing. They're all locked up and did their time, but you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we all did our time or whatever, but it's like the amount of shit that went on and the amount of shit that I was involved with, you know what I mean? Like it's like, dude, I was just there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
But
let me ask this. I
that's
don't want
what
to get into
happened.
too many details about the case,
Yeah.
but what I do want to know is, as a, you said it was a 13, 14-year-old kid, what were you doing hanging around with adults? Like, how did that happen?
Um, I got with the older dude, 20 years old,
Damn, when you're 13,
14, yeah.
14 years old, damn.
Yeah, and I asked him if he would help me run away from my foster home because I had left that one good foster home because I kept beating up my foster sister
Yeah.
because she was disrespectful, little bitch. And so I couldn't stand how disrespectful she was to my foster mom because she was an older lady. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like regardless of how messed up I was or like bad things I did or didn't do, like I didn't disrespect my foster mom. Like after a while, after I calmed down and like kind of like, you know what I mean? I still
Yeah.
wasn't good, but I didn't disrespect her because she was like in her 50s.
Damn.
And this girl was like my age, but she was super disrespectful. And we used to get into it, you know what I mean? Because I'd tell her, like, you don't disrespect her, don't talk to her like that. Cause she was my loved one, you know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
the only family I really had left, except for on occasion I saw my older brother, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I ended up getting kicked out of that foster home and moving to Redding. And I just wanted to run away and like, you know, rebel. So he helped me rebel.
Damn.
That's about it. I didn't even know him by the time like I had only met him like 3 weeks later. I'm in jail for murder. You know what I mean? So
Damn.
yeah, he was on parole too from Y. So
You know what's crazy is that I don't know if you noticed the pattern at the time, but it seems like there's a pattern of you kind of being the outcast. You know what I mean? And even when you went to juvenile hall, it seems like that pattern continued where they had to separate you from everybody else. So
yeah,
were you used to it at that point, like being away from everybody else and being on your own?
yeah, yeah. And I was the only female in my unit too.
Damn. So by the time you get to Y, you're right. It's not really much of a like shock for you because you're used to just being on your own and just like, fuck it. Like,
Yeah. Yep. Pretty much. The only thing in juvenile hall is like I couldn't fight. Even when I wanted to fight, I couldn't because like my public defender's like, don't act violent. Don't
yeah,
act violent. Regardless, it's gonna make you look bad. So
yeah.
when I got to YA, before I even went up and got my initial time, I had already fought. You
How
know,
did,
even though I tried not to.
yeah. How did that happen? What happened there?
It's so stupid. It's so dumb.
Yeah. Most of
But
this shit in YA is.
dude, it was so dumb because this girl just kept like trying to like brush up on me, you know what I mean? Like because I had tried to check her about something with one of my homegirls from my county,
Yeah.
and like they were in like a relationship or something, and she was disrespecting her, and I was like, dude, you know what I mean? Like I was like, shut the fuck up, you know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
was trying to tell her, like, you know, and she was like, oh well, we'll see, you little white bitch, something, something, and I was just like, okay, you know, and so out of program, you know, and
Yeah.
she just kept on, and like act like she was like, you know, brushing up on me. So I just took my stuff down and popped her like right in her face, and she fell, and she didn't get back up. So I just picked my stuff up and walked off, and she snitched on me.
Oh
So
shit.
yeah, I was like, what the hell? I thought we were good. The cops didn't see it or nothing. I was
Oh
just like,
shit.
oh man. So yeah, I got in a lot of fights while I was in there. A lot.
What do you think it was that contributed to you having to be in so many fights?
Females.
Because I know with the males, on our side, we have a lot of different games we play, or a lot of different ways we do things and address certain issues. With the females, is it just like you just feel a certain way and you could take flight, or is there usually anything behind it?
Um, it just like whatever. I mean, I wasn't like all into like all the little gangbang and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That wasn't my. I mean, I was from the damn sticks. I remember this one time this one of your girls you interviewed, as a matter of fact, she's my girl now, but I didn't understand what sued was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd never seen it before, and it was tattooed on her arm, and I asked her what it was, and she thought I was like disrespecting her.
Yeah.
And so she jumped up like ready to fight me, and I just kind of looked at her like, oh, okay, I guess we're fighting then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's like, she just kind of looked at me and she's like, are you serious? Like, you don't know what it is? And I'm like, no, but I guess if we want to fight, we're gonna fight. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know, you know, but I'll fight you.
Yeah.
And she's just like, no, it's okay. And then she like realized I really didn't know, and she just started laughing. And then she like explained it to me. I'm like, we're on receiving together. I don't know what the hell's going on. You know what I mean?
Was that gang culture different? Like, was that kind of a culture shock for you?
Yeah. I mean, I knew quite a bit, like somewhat, but not to that extreme. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'd heard of like Serenias and North End, all that, but I never really like, I'm from up north.
Yeah.
Reading, you know what I mean? Like there's not a lot of Southerners up there, you know, so where I see it all the time, you know, like I see other stuff. So I really didn't know. There's a lot of racist stuff up there. That's about it. You know what I mean? Like for the most part. But I mean, I honestly, the most of the fights I got into were over different people, like defending people, or like I got in a lot of relationships in there too. I mean, I was in there almost 10 years. Because I ended up getting time ads after time ads and stuff. So
let me ask about the first thing you brought up, that backing up different people. Do you think a lot of that had to do with the fact that, like you said earlier, you had that instinct, that motherly instinct, like you said, we're looking out for your siblings a lot. So what was it that drew you to people where you felt like you had to protect them?
The little ones. The ones that were quiet, that like mind their business, that didn't want to be messed with. And that's the ones that got preyed on the most.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I would watch like all the time, watching people, you know, go around, you know, like trying to play this girl or that girl, you know, and I'm not a stupid girl. I'm not one of those stupid white girls. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of dumb white girls and I'm not one of them. So like I would watch them and they would come to me and I'd be like, if you don't get the hell out of my face, you know what I mean? Like but I would watch, you know, and I would tell the girls like, you're getting played, you know what I mean? Like, but I mean, they're going to do what they're going to do. But there was like a few girls that were like, some girls like were even handicapped, you know what I mean? That I ended up fighting over. Or there was like my very best friend, you know, that I loved to death and I still love to this day, you know what I mean? I've gotten in fights over her because she never hurt nobody. She never bothered nobody or nothing. And people used to mess with her because they knew she wouldn't do nothing to them.
You said even there were people who were handicapped in there, because I know in Ventura they do have different wings and different, you know, that is like the hospital kind of institution. Do you think that triggered a certain emotion because you had a sister that had hydrocephalus?
Yep. That's exactly why. Hey, you're so smart.
No, because I have a daughter with cerebral palsy and she has a microcephaly, and so I just know a little bit of that stuff. You know, but back then I was heartless, unfortunately. But you know, but like you said, we grow, so luckily there's that. But
I was very heartless too. Like when it came like to certain stuff, like everybody like mostly knew that I would fight you. Like I didn't care. I had nothing to lose. I didn't get visits in there. I didn't get packages. I didn't get money. Like I hustled for every bit of anything I had. My parents were both in prison, so.
I was in a similar situation where my parents, they tried to come as much as they could. They live about 2 cities away, but they didn't have a car and they didn't have ways to come. So like for me, I always felt like, fuck it, I put myself in here. I don't care, whatever. So for you though, like knowing that you're on your own, did that kind of make it so it was easier to act out, easier to be like, fuck it, like
Yeah,
nobody's here,
I
like
didn't
that's
have
just
nothing to
me.
go home for.
Yeah.
The whole time I was in there, I got 3 visits.
Damn.
Yeah.
Were they
And that was like my last couple years there.
damn. So let me ask, because you're the only one that brought this up about relationships in there. So I like I know like it's a touchy subject with the females. You know what I mean? So
Oh,
but
I have no shame.
so what was the dynamic like, and when it came to those kinds of relationships, were there any times where you had a male relationship with males, or was it just all female relationships?
All females.
And what was that dynamic like? Was it more like just a comfort type thing, or was it like how does it go? Because I know for guys, there wasn't real relationships; it was more predatory kind of things. How was it for the
There was
females?
both in there. I seen
Yeah,
both. Um, like I said, at one point in time, there was times where I did get with certain, like, got with females, like, to use them.
damn,
I did at certain times. I was really, really mean. Sometimes I was in a relationship in there for 4 years
damn.
with a female, and I mean, it was very unhealthy, very toxic, very, very unhealthy relationship, like horrible.
Yeah, well, under the circumstances, you would imagine that you don't have two mature, self-loving
Yeah.
people at that point.
Yeah. It's like I got with her to like help her because
Mhm.
she had like had issues, and she ended up bringing me down to her level. It
Damn.
was so weird because it was like I thought I could bring her up to my, you know what I mean? Like help her. Cause like that's me. I'm always wanting to help somebody or like, you know what I mean? And I ended up like being totally opposite, complete opposite. It was not a good thing. It was not good at all. And I ended up fighting this other girl like every time I saw her because she would like go back and forth between me and this girl. And I mean, me and this girl, I mean, literally would fight each other every single time we saw each other.
Damn, that was gonna be my next question too. If there were
Mhm.
any fights because of the
Oh
relationship. So
man. Yeah. Yeah. And then like I did a lot of scantless stuff, like a lot of scantless stuff back then. Like I was messed up in the head bad, you know, like I was on a lot of meds. They put me on a lot of meds. And I think it made me a lot worse, you know, than I already was. Already like being a teenager, emotional, hormonal, whatever, and then putting me on meds. I mean, so many meds. It's like they were experimenting on me or something.
damn, looking back now as an adult, do you trip out on that? Like, what the fuck were they doing?
Oh my God, man. I'm like, I cannot imagine. I just, and I was just like going with it. You know what I mean? But it's
Yeah.
like, if you didn't though, it's like a condition of your parole too. Or like if you go to board and they're like, oh, she's refusing to take her meds.
Yeah, a lot of
It's
times
like, you know,
they won't be so specific like that, but they'll say shit like that. She's refusing her treatment.
treatment plan.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, fucking
And then
assholes.
like you would go talk to like a counselor or something because they make you go and they would twist something that you said like, what? You know what I mean? Like I could say something and they would completely twist it into something that I did not mean, you know, or so, and then that would make me be like, I don't want to talk to those people.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh my, I remember going off on so many of those cops, like they hated my guts, like all those cops. I mean, I turned out to be like the biggest manipulator. It made me so criminal minded being in there. I could get away with anything. Like I could manipulate anybody. Like it was horrible, but I mean, I survived, you know, it made me survive. It turned me, you know, into a criminal. It really did. I did not know how to do any of that before I got there.
Damn.
Yeah.
With the relationships, this is a last question I'm asking about that. With the relationships, was there any that ever turned violent?
Like, like between me and my girlfriends?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, probably like every single relationship I was in.
Damn. You know, the reason I asked
It's a
that is
lot
because that,
easier for like girls to hit each other, you know what I mean?
yeah, the reason I asked that is because that's kind of like I don't know if it sets the tone like going for the future for you, but I know for a lot of people it would set the tone like this is a normal relationship because you went in there so young dealing with that could set the tone like, oh yeah, this is what it's like. You know, we fight sometimes.
Well, the thing about it, like my dad used to beat the crap out of my mom, you know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
I grew up seeing that all the time. I knew it wasn't right. I knew I didn't want to do that, but it was like the only way I would get to a certain point with my anger, and then that was like that's the only way I knew how to deal with my anger was
Yeah.
violence. Even like with my siblings, like when we get into an argument, I get to a certain point and then I just punch them. And so I had to learn through counseling. It's like you have to relearn stuff. You have
Yeah.
to go back to when you learned, okay, this is where I learned that you hit people. This is where you relearn it. You know what I mean? Like there's other ways to deal with your anger than to just automatically hit somebody.
Yeah.
Because that's just what I did. That's just, I just will just fight you.
Well, one thing I noticed, especially from incarcerated youth that I've seen, especially, and I was no exception, is that you only really feel two emotions when you're that young. You feel anger and happiness. You're either laughing and happy or you're pissed off. You're not sad. You're not anything else. You're not confused. You're just angry. If there's
Yep.
any of those other emotions come in, you don't know how to deal with them. You're like, fuck it. You're going to just revert to anger.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're scared or anxious, you just get angry. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the way it goes. Like I did like every program that you could think of in there that they had to offer. Like any and every single group, program, everything. Like I was in there for so long, it was like there was no program in there I didn't do.
Damn. Did any of them end up working at all?
Yeah. There was a kitchen, it was like a restaurant kitchen, a culinary arts kitchen that we had. And I wasn't really supposed to work in there because I was on the violent unit.
Yeah.
And we worked with knives and, you know, the staff and the teachers and stuff like that. They would come in during their lunch break and order food from us. You know what I mean? But the lady that ran it, she liked me for some reason. And I don't know why. And they had me on so much meds that it was so hard for me to get up. Like, cause I was on so much Seroquel and stuff like that. Like I literally could not wake up in time to even go to school or anything. Cause I was like a zombie.
Damn.
And so she had told me like, you know, that if I could get up, that she would let me start coming to work. And my unit faced the kitchen, so I could just like talk to her super easy.
Yeah.
So then it like gave me motivation, like gave me something to work for, something to be good for. And so I like started doing better. That's what started making me do better.
Did you start?
Like,
go ahead, my bad.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Did you start thinking about life outside of YA at that point?
Not really though. I mean, I really just like got used to it in there. I forgot how it was out on the streets. Like I didn't really remember no more.
Damn. Yeah, because you really, what was freedom to you? Because you, even since you were 8 years old, you were really, they told you where to go, when to go, what you can do, who you can live with. That's crazy.
And even like if I had got out as an adult, go where? With who? So, you know what I mean? Like my older brother, he aged out of foster homes. Obviously, my parents never got him back. You know what I mean? And it's like he lived with his girlfriend, so there's no place for me. And for the years, my brother didn't even talk to me because I embarrassed him. Because the media ended up leaking my name somehow.
Damn.
And so everyone knew I was his sister. It was all over the news. You know, and I was a ward of the state already before I got locked up. So like nobody cared about me and them putting my name or on my face on the news.
That's not like there's going to be any kind of public outcry or nobody's going to be outraged over you. That's fucked up.
Yeah. So it's like I embarrassed him, and I did, you know, like he was only 16 years old. and it's a small community up there.
Yeah.
So, he didn't talk to me for years. Like, I didn't even think my brother would ever talk to me again. So, and my parents were in prison. So it's like, where am I going to go? Who's waiting for me to come home? So it's like, I have my girlfriend in there. I have my little family. We called each other little nicknames. You know what I mean? Like, I was close to a couple staff. I was good to go. Like, I did not care about getting out. I really didn't.
What happened when you finally did go home? Which you're 24 at that point?
Yeah. Well, I was yeah.
A few months before 25, right?
I got out. Yeah. Well, no, it was like a year before.
Okay.
I think. I'm trying to remember now. It's been 13 years since I've been out. Can you believe that's crazy? When I got out, they had to move me to a different county because my county wouldn't take me back. And right before I got out, my last 6 months, I did fire camp. I don't know how I got it on fire camp. I have no idea how they approved me to go to fire camp, because I got attempted escape while I was in there for jumping on a roof one night because I was bored, and it was crazy. I don't know, but I love fire camp. Like, I loved it, like, with a passion. I loved it. And they put me in a drug rehab where I paroled to in a different county. And because it's a structured environment, because I was so institutionalized.
Yeah.
They had to put me in a structured environment. And I got really depressed when I got out because I absolutely hated it.
Yeah, because you had your girlfriend, you had your family, and in fire camp you're constantly busy.
Yeah. And it was like a routine that I was used to, and being out on the streets, it's like all these emotions and like people and like things. Like, I got so overwhelmed, you know what I mean? Like, I already have like anxiety disorder before, but especially when I got out and I was just like around all these new people, and like I had all these choices now.
Damn.
And it was just like super weird. And then I was around men, like, wasn't my thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I was not used to that at all. I was used to like the male staff, but they knew better than to talk to me any type of way. Like,
Yeah.
I will cuss you out. And if you didn't know, you'll find out real quick. Cause there was like a couple times, like when the staff were new, you know what I mean? And they didn't know me like that. Like, you're going to find out real fast. I'm not one of them bitches that you can come and look in their wickets after they're getting dressed after the shower. I'm not that bitch.
Yeah.
Like, I will cuss you out so fast. Like, I don't want nothing from you. Don't look at me. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. But yeah, I asked them to take me back. I asked my parole officer to take me back.
What'd she say when you said that, or he?
He told me no, and to stop being a crybaby and to suck it up.
That's actually like, could be some good advice if you're at that point. But if you're not, how was it? Like, how did you take that?
Well, I almost resorted back to like, oh, okay, well, then I'll just do something to make you take me back. I'm trying not to be disrespectful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, and then at the same time, I had it like in the back of my head, like the staff being like, oh, you'll be back. You know, because I used to be like super bad. Like, oh, you ain't going to be shit, Stevens. You know what I mean? Like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like, you ain't going to do shit. You ain't going to, you know, I probably won't. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know how to do nothing. I don't even know how to drive a car. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to do anything on the streets as an adult at all. Like, I don't even have a driver's, like, I don't even have a state ID. You know, like, I graduated from high school.
Yeah.
I'm not a stupid person, but I'm definitely not book smart. You know what I had all these doubts in me, like, this is not where I just didn't feel like I could succeed out here, you know? And it's like weird because my parole officer happened to be his dad was my dad's parole officer.
Oh shit. It's like running the family.
Yeah. So it was like, wow, that's another statistic. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell? You know what I mean? So it made me even more like want to succeed in a way. You know, it was just like, it was weird. But I mean, about a month after I got out, I met somebody and I've been with that person ever since. And it's a man. So
How did
yeah, I
that
told
how did that happen?
him, well, I remember I told you I had to go to drug rehab.
Yeah.
And so he was on Prop 36. And so they made him go to the NA meetings. And so being in the rehab, I had to go to NA meetings.
Yeah, for the people that don't know what Prop 36 is, that's when if you're arrested for a drug-related offense, you had the opportunity, if it wasn't a violent crime, to either go to the drug therapy, the drug program, or go to
Mm-hmm.
jail. A lot of
Yeah.
people will just say, "Ah, fuck it, Prop 36. I'm gonna go home and do the therapy and do all that, the NA and all that."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he was like on SWAP and Prop 36. In our county, he was Prop 36. Another county, he was on SWAP and for different charges. So it was like he was going back and forth, you know?
Yeah.
And I told him, like, I told all the guys at this little NA dance, like, I'm gay, don't talk to me, don't dance with me, like, I'm dancing with the girls, like, woo, you know, just keep people away from me, like, you know. And so none of them would dance with me. I'm like, all right, cool, they listen. Well, he didn't listen, and he come dance with me anyway, and I was just like, oh, here we go, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, I just didn't want to be bothered by like extra emotional stuff, you know what I mean? Like, I just couldn't handle it. And so he had asked me for my phone number, so I gave him the wrong number and was like, oh, there we go, you know, I won't see him again. Well, wrong, this is a small town. So yeah, he was very persistent, and we ended up falling in love. We got told me he couldn't have kids because he had a 14-year-old son. And so I was like, all right, cool, I'm not worried about that. I'm going to do my firefighting stuff, go back to school. I have a scholarship. I got a scholarship before I left YA. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so I was just like, all right, cool. Well, I got pregnant in like 4 months.
Damn.
Yeah. And so I was kind of mad, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, this is not what I planned on. But then I was like, after I had my son, I was like, I'm cool. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and then we got married, we had another kid, and we lived happily ever after.
But you know what's crazy is that there's two ways that could have went, right? Like because I know it's gonna take effort, or it took effort from both of you, right? Because both of you, you know, met under circumstances where you're emotionally fragile, kind of a little broken, right? And
Yeah.
so it could have went bad where both of you could have said, "Now, fuck this, I can't deal with this person," because you see that a lot. Um,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
what
we
was
were there a couple times, believe me. We definitely, yeah, we definitely had our challenges for sure. Like, our wedding anniversary is in a couple days. We've been married 12
congratulations?
years. Thank you. But I mean, like, if it wasn't for him, I probably would have went back.
Yeah,
Like, for real. Like, for real. Like, and I'm not saying like all thanks to him, because of course it's me too, but he helped me like transition like I so much. He was like there, like I was like almost like a teenager again, getting out too, because
yeah.
my mentality stopped growing. And
At
so
14, huh?
yeah, so
Yeah,
it's like I'm naive to a lot of things. I was naive to a lot, like, you know, I had to remember too my influences. That's what got me there. You know what I mean? So I had to
yeah,
remind myself, like, I'm not as smart as I think I am. Like, this world is not what I'm used to. These people are not what you know what I mean? So it was like a whole nother world I had to get used to. And like, my kids are like my everything. Like, I'm finally the mom that I was, you know, supposed to be. Like, they're my everything. Like, I mean, I couldn't think of another. I can't believe that that was in my life before. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
So,
I'm so grateful to be where I'm at.
damn, that's crazy. Congratulations. So
You.
let me ask, when it came down to having a transition, like you were saying, he helped you with that.
Mhm.
Um, how uncomfortable were you with a lot of those steps, and what were the most uncomfortable steps you had to take in order to really transition into what you become today?
I think just trusting
Mm.
was a big thing, still is a big thing for me, is being able to allow myself to depend on other people, that I don't have to do everything on my own. That I don't have
Yeah.
to figure it out on my own. I don't have to only depend on myself, that I don't know. It's really hard for me to really believe that someone's not going to leave,
Yeah.
like, or like get tired of me and move on. I don't know. Like, I still have that like a little bit in the back of my head. I don't know if it'll ever go away. I don't know why. It's just like,
Well, it's because you've had that pattern for years and
yeah,
years. And that was part of your early development.
yeah. And then like being in YA too, it's like I didn't allow myself to really get close to anybody but people that were going to be there with me a long time.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to. I didn't want to lose them, and I knew they were going to go home. Like, I would ask people, "How long you got?" When they got there, if they said under 3 years, like, we can't be friends. I'm
Yeah.
so serious. Like, I do not want to be your friend. Don't talk to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be your friend. And then they would, oh, I'm going to write you when I get, don't, please don't.
Yeah.
You're not going to continue to write me. I'm going to worry about you. And if you walk back in here as a violator, I'm going to whoop your ass.
Yeah.
Like, how, you know what I mean? Don't come in here like thinking we're going to be cool when you come back. Like, we're not. I'm not going to be okay with you coming back. Like, I would do anything to have a chance to get out, But then when I got out, I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, because it's
I
hard.
felt bad for the violators too when they came back, because I was mean to them. But then when I got out, I'm like, damn, this is probably how they felt. You know what I mean? Like, I felt kind of bad about it, but I don't know.
So, how did you like learn to manage? Because you've been out, you said since you got out, right? You never went back.
Mm-mm.
So you never went back. How did you learn how to manage with like your anger issues and like the different emotions you had?
Well, I tried to apply like what I did learn in there. I don't really allow people around me that get me angry like that. There has been times, I can't say that I haven't fought since I've been out,
Yeah.
but it's only been a couple times, like, to where it was like I didn't have any other option.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I just don't feel it's worth it. You know what I mean? Because I have my kids now. It's completely different. Like, if I didn't have my kids, I'd probably be way worse. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really value my freedom. My freedom is so priceless to me now, And when I got out, I used to go around and tell my story to the high schools and help the kids and stuff as much as I could
Yeah.
to give back to the to my victim and stuff, to her family, and I made that promise to her and to God that I would do everything that I could to live my life the best I could. You know what I mean? Like, if I got another chance to get out,
Yeah.
that's
That's
the
dope.
only, the best thing I could do. And I stopped doing it like a few years ago just because my kids started going to school and I didn't want anybody to recognize me and give them a hard time or something. So,
Yeah. Do
but
your
other than that,
do your kids know your about your past?
mm-hmm. Yep.
Do they trip out? Because it's like, man, like, because I know sometimes my kids will laugh at me. They'll be like, Dad, you're not that tough. I'm like,
Yeah. My kids are so funny because it's like both me and my husband have like a past, you know what I mean? And my
yeah.
husband, like, yeah, he's Asian and he has long hair, and he kind of looks a little gangsterish, So
Yeah.
it's kind of weird to see us together. And when people like see my son, he looks super light complected, but he like has like Asian eyes. And
Yeah.
so sometimes though they don't even think he's Asian and they'll be like, "You're not Asian." And then my husband will come pick him up. He's like, "See, this is my dad." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, yeah, it's just like I don't know. Yeah, they do trip out on me.
Yeah. I think it's weird because kids they never really truly understand like what their parents went through. And it must be like, I don't know if they could even grasp to understand like
Mhm.
what you went through as a child. I mean, because like 8 years old, being taken from your parents, and they have a totally different life than that.
Oh man.
Do you feel proud of that? That you were able to prevent
Oh
them from
yeah.
seeing those things?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. Like I was telling you about my one good foster mom, and she used to always tell me, I hope you break your cycle. I hope you break the cycle. You know what I mean? And that's one thing I promise that my kids will never ever be taken away from me like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From like foster home, like if it's in my power, unless some crazy shit happens, and so you know what I mean? Like who knows what? You know what I mean? People are crazy these days, but my kids will never go through that. You know, and
Yeah.
my son is 12, and I'm thinking 2 years more. I went through that at 14. I could not imagine my son
Yeah.
going through something like that
Yeah.
at this age. You know what I mean? Like I cannot there it's just like I spoil my kids. I do. Like I'm not gonna deny it. My kids are spoiled as hell. They're respectful as hell though too. You know, like I'm not one of those regular moms, you know, like my that's what my kid told me the other day. You're not like a regular white mom, like the ones that people see on TV. Why don't you act like that? Because you're not going to act like those kids. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just not going to happen. I'm just not that kind of mom, just a real mom, you know. I'm not going to ever be like that. But it's like I don't know. I love my kids, man. That's all I know. I love my freaking kids.
Yeah.
Like cuz I know they're never going to leave me. You
Yeah.
know, it don't matter what I look like they're never going to get tired. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know exactly what you're saying. You know, like I always say, I have 4 kids, and I always say each one taught me something different. You know what I mean? So,
Mm,
like they teach you something different about yourself, and as they grow older, you learn even more.
yeah.
And I know exactly what you're saying about like them hitting a certain age because my daughter is 16.
Oh,
At 16, I was already in YA. My other
yeah.
son's 15. I already had EMF tattooed on my stomach. You know what I mean? So it's like they're, and I always say that it's not that they're not tough. It's just they're not angry like I was,
Yeah.
and they don't have a need to
Yeah.
be. And I'm glad they don't.
Yeah. I know my kids, like, they know they can come to me. They can
Yeah.
come to me and talk to me. Like, I always tell my kids stuff. You know what I mean? Like they know I used to be with females. Like, I don't hide stuff from my kids. Like, of course, I just barely, told them as they got older. You know what I mean? Like, I don't go around just like telling them all kinds of crazy shit. But,
I
you
don't
know,
know.
I don't
Yeah.
hide nothing from them. And I
Yeah.
have friends that I still have friends from YA that they've met. You know what I mean? And they'll overhear me saying something or whatever. I have no shame in who I was. I may have some shame in some shit that I did, or some people that I hurt, you know,
Yeah.
but like going through all that made me who I am, brought me to where I'm at, to meet my husband, to have my life, and I'm like, I don't have everything in the world, but I have everything I need. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I'm so grateful. Like, my husband's my best friend. Like, I couldn't imagine, like, oh my God, I look back at my other relationships. I'm just like, what the hell was I doing? You know what I mean? Like, but then again, I wouldn't appreciate what I have now too if I didn't go through that. So I don't know. And the bad foster parents taught me what kind of mom I don't want to be,
Yeah.
so it's all part of the plan.
How did it feel when you, for the first time, realized you found happiness? And was it foreign to you?
Yeah. It was scary. It's really scary. It's like unreal,
Yeah.
like
Waiting for it
like
to get taken
something
away.
bad's about to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this can't be my life. You know what I mean? Like this can't be happening to me. This type of shit don't happen to me.
Yeah. Like two.
So then I'm like waiting for something bad to happen.
Yeah. It's like
You
you
know?
kind of calculate shit. Like, all right, all kinds of good shit happened. There's something coming.
Yep. Yep. It's every time. I'm like still sitting here 13 years later, like still waiting. No, just I'm just playing. But I do have faith, in
Yeah.
my family. I've worked hard, to be where I'm at.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's what it takes
we're
in the long run.
thankful.
My wife always told me too, because I was like that for a while. And she told me, just know that you put in the work and you're good. You deserve to be
Yeah,
happy. And I'm like, shit,
yeah,
I guess you're right.
yeah. Yeah, my husband, like I told him when we got together, like if you use dope or you hit me, we're done. You know, those are like, I can deal with a lot of shit. Like we can work out a lot of shit, but those two things I cannot do.
Yeah.
You know, and we've been through some shit, but those two things he's never done. You know what I mean? Like we've gone through some stuff, like not a lot, you know what I mean? But definitely like we both worked very hard, you know, and he's, you know, recovering addict. So I know he's put in a lot of work too and changed his life a lot, you know. So I'm
let
proud
me
of both of us.
much love. How and let me ask, what does the future look like for you?
I'll just keep on doing what I'm doing, you know. Just keep raising my kids, being there for my kids, you know. That's like my number one priority.
Yeah.
Being the best mom and wife that I can be. And you know, I let this last year with everything that's been going on, like I started struggling a lot, like with depression and stuff because of isolating, which I already isolate normally, but then I lost my father-in-law and stuff too. So it was like kind of like a big, I lost my dad like 10 years ago after I got out, but it wasn't as a big blow to me because I was used to not being around him because of being locked up and then being in foster home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when I lost my father-in-law, it was like a bigger blow to me. I don't know why. Like just, I don't know. It just hit me a lot harder. So I gotta like start focusing like more on myself, my like self-help. You know what I mean? Get back into that.
Well, you've overcame so much. So I'm sure you can do it. It does take a lot. It takes commitment. But you can definitely do it.
Yeah, for sure.
And before we wrap it up, is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, the only thing that really got me, like my biggest thing that got me through the hard times was telling myself that this too shall pass. You know what I mean? Like that's like my biggest motivational thing. Like I used to write it on the top of the bottom of the top bunk, you know, because somebody wrote it right there. And I remember I was hella stressed out and I was like going through it and I looked up and somebody had wrote it right there. And so I was like, man, that hella helped me. So every time I probably shouldn't be saying I just registered state property, but anyway, I wrote it on there. And like every room I went into after that. So like, I don't know, like that was like my biggest thing, you know. I always knew that God had a plan for me. So now I understand why.
Yeah, and it's crazy because like I learned throughout life, like fuck it, if you kind of roll with the punches and if something bad happens, if you don't dwell on it, you just say fuck it, it is what it is. You're gonna take that, you're gonna absorb the shot. Yeah, it's gonna hurt, but if you keep going with it, if you don't let it crumble, then the impact isn't as hard as it would be if you just let that whole shit tear you down.
Yeah. That's like I heard somebody say, this too shall pass. It might pass like a kidney stone, but it'll pass, you know, like it's going to hurt like shit, but it's going to pass, you know? So that's true. You know, everybody has their own shit as long as you don't give up.
That's what it's all about. Well, I appreciate you taking your time to share your story with us. And it was a pleasure.
Yeah. It was nice talking to you too.
And with that, we out. Peace.
Bye.